Hi guys, PatDude1979 here. I'm gonna bring to you today a little review on my one of my newest purchase that I think I did an unboxing on, the Syma X1. It's a little quadcopter. And before I make the review, I just want to say to you guys, sorry if I didn't do any video for a while. I was on vacation and I had tons of stuff to do. So right now the power's out. Well, the cable's out. So I don't have anything else to do, so I might do a couple reviews today and upload it at different times. So, alright, so this is going to be a review on one of my latest purchase, a little quadcopter called the Syma X1. I'm going to talk to you about the good points and the bad points of this quadcopter, since this is one of 4 quadcopters I purchased because I just got into it. You know, I just jumped in there, and I always love RCs and anything cars, plane, and right now these things look to be really good, and they are really good for the price. I mean, $40 you get a ready to fly setup for a little quadcopter that's fun, almost indestructible, and you know, you can have tons of enjoyment with these things. So let me get started with the quadcopter itself. This is the quadcopter as it comes in the box. The box, you guys can see, you get some unboxing on YouTube and stuff like that of the Syma X1. You pretty much, this is the spacecraft version. There's a little battery. It comes with just a little 300 milliamp, 3.7 volts, just a 1-cell LiPo with some mini DINs connectors. So this is your basic quadcopter, just a nice little setup. It flies good out of the box. Although I gotta tell you guys, I got 4 quadcopters, and I mean, for $40 it's a good quadcopter, but with every one of the 4 different model of quadcopters I have from 3 different companies, I always got a little issue with the quadcopters. Out of the box, I mean, I always had some little micro issue. With that one, it's drifting off to one side, and you have to compensate with the adjustment. And even though you turn it on and you turn on the quads, you will leave it time to level out. And I've put it on a level surface from every angle. I've put it on a level surface, and it's still drifting off to one side. So out of the box, I mean, it's just a little annoying to get something brand new, and out of the box it's you know, not defective, but it's got some little issues. But overall, the quadcopter still runs fine. It's still fun to play around. But I'm gonna talk about some issues I have with it and how it could be better. You know, you see a lot of reviews out there, but for quadcopters, for anything, but with me, with my channel, I'm gonna nitpick on the small stuff, you know, on the stuff that personally for me would make something great or just average. You know, just the small little tiny details, as you guys gonna be able to see in the further in the review. So let's talk about the controller. This is your basic, you know, 4-channel controller. You get your trim adjustments. You got a little LCD display that doesn't do much except, you know, give you the percentage of the throttle when you go up and down and side, and you know, just a little screen. You know, it's fun, but it's not really functional. These buttons are just for show though, so that's a little annoying. Here on top you got your this is your dual rates, so high and low rates, and here you got your flip button. So if you want to do a flip, you just hold that and just press on one side, the other, and you can flip to your heart's content. And from all the quadcopter I've purchased, this is one of the best controller, and one of the best, but you know, it could be better. For instance, the dual rate, they could have done like the wltoys, well, every one of their quadcopters really. You got 5 rates. You got 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, and 100%. The only thing is with that controller, the 100%, as soon as you move the stick, bam, you do a flip. So that's kind of annoying. And for this controller, this version, the flip button, that's just a must. You know, this flip button right here is just bam, it's remarkable. Every company out there who's building a quadcopter should go for the flip button. They should. You know, leave the rates to, you know, 50 and 100%, leave that alone and just put the flip button. Just don't do like 100% and boom, you just move the stick and you flip. That's dumb, because if the quadcopter is going out of control, you gotta remember to press the button to change the rates so you can regain control of your quads. It's, you know, adjustment you're gonna have to remember, but if you're flying and the quadcopter is going out of control for some reason and you just want to, you know, place it back somewhere, you just move the throttle and boom, it flips again and it crashes on the ground and hard. So for that, it's a little annoying. But overall, this is a great controller. A little bit more range would have been nice. A little bit more range. Maybe a little bit more versatility with the rates. And what else? Well, for the controller, it's pretty much it. 2.4 gigahertz. You just power it on and it's just gonna sync with the quad. So as you can see, it's powered on, and you get a little helicopter display, which is weird because this is a quad, but you know, whatever. This is still a pretty good quadcopter. In my opinion, it's a pretty good quadcopter, but compared to the other ones, would I get this one or something else? Well, you know, after I see some reviews on YouTube and on the internet of this quadcopter, I said that's the one I want to buy. It's stable, it flies nice, and it is stable and it flies nice, but there's a little couple of key issues. Let me take the battery off so I can play around with quads. There's a little bit of key issues that I've looked at that, you know, makes me a little hesitant. One of the advantages it has compared to other quads, it's really how should I put this? It's really quiet. I think that's because of the nylon on nylon gears. On a wltoys, you get a brass gear here, and you get like a little plastic gear here. So here it's plastic all around, and I don't know if the power is less or whatever, but this one is really quiet for that type of you know, with the motors and the gears and the bigger props. It's really quiet for that. So now let's take off the canopy. Really simple. It's just held in place by, you know, little grooves in there in the canopy. So if we take that off, here you can see the board itself. It's protected by a little plastic. That's nice. That's nice to see that it's protected by a little plastic part right there. Sorry if I'm not in frame. I don't have a fancy camera so I can flip the screen around. It's just a little flip. So, but one of the things that kind of annoys me and on the architecture of the board is, compared to the wltoys, the board is a nice board. You know, the layout is nice, the soldering is nice, everything is nice about the board. But the way it's set up, it's soldering wires. So if you want to change a motor or something, you're gonna have to do some soldering. Compared to the wltoys, where it's just, and sorry if I say that wrong, but the wltoys more likely. The wltoys got some little just little connectors that you can put in and plug in, compared to this one. This one you get some soldering, so you got to do some soldering on the motor if you want to replace the board, replace the motor and stuff, and that's a little bit annoying. And the other thing that I've noticed that's really annoying compared to pretty much all the other quads. I got a Vitality H36, and I got two wltoys, the V202 and V212, which you guys are going to be able to see soon. The board here on this Syma, I mean, they went a little bit cheap on it, because, you know, they can up the price by 50 cents and just add 2 more screws here. As you can see in that, if you can look at the board on the internet, on anywhere on the Syma sites or whatever, you can see that it's only held in place by 2 screws, diagonally, 2 diagonal screws that just are screwed in the frame that's holding the board itself. And what that does is, one time I did a flip and I, you know, was learning to fly and cut the power off, and the board just came loose. There's one of the screws that just popped out, and it was rattling in there, because that little plastic is good for retaining the screws, but otherwise the screw was running around in there, contacting other points on the board, and it just wasn't great. So I had to take it apart, re-screw the screw, but the screw and the threading on the screw, it's gone. I had to put some glue in there, just, you know, make a mischief fix on that. So, but the contact here, and you see, holding that place, you could add 2 more screws, which I would do. If you got some tiny screw, just add 2 more screws in there. And if you can drill some holes, because there's no holes drilled in the board for the other 2 screws, and as you can see, the board has 2 more holes to put some screws in. So I don't know why they didn't put that. And the screws, compared to the Vitality and the V202, which are micro quads, the screws, they might seem to be big, but they're not. They're just really, it's just the head of the screws that with the Phillips head on it that's big. The screw itself, it's like a needle, it's so small. Even compared to the Vitality of the V202, those screws are so small, it's annoying, you know. So that's one of the main complaints. Other fact that it's 3 gyros and stabilized now. The most quadcopters are 6 gyros, which I'm starting to like, but not totally. And that I'm gonna cover in a review of the wltoys model. Let me just put the cap back on in here. But overall, you know, this is a good quadcopter, except for the things I've mentioned. And in my book, for that size of a quadcopters, there are some better quadcopters out there for the money. It's not a bad quadcopter, and if you know how to fly and you don't intend to crash too much into it, and which I did crash this quadcopter quite a lot, and you know, on cement. Where I fly is just parking lot and at work, and you know, a couple places, and I did crash this, and it did hold up a lot, except for the board issue that now that the screws popped out and the threading is gone, and you know, part of that frame, that piece where it holds the screw together, it's completely destroyed. So overall, it's holding up fine, except that, and you know, I had to do a few repairs on it. So compared to my wltoys, the wltoys is just, you know, it's a tank, and this is a tank by itself, but it's just those little tiny things like the board, and you know, those things that are a little annoying to me, you know. The fact that the range is only 30 meters on controller compared to the wltoys, which they state 150 meters, which I haven't tested. And another thing I've noticed, even with a 2.4 gigahertz controller like that, and I forgot to show you guys the charger, which I'm gonna do real quick. You know, just a basic USB cable and a little attachment. You plug that in your computer, or a USB charger jack, like for an iPhone and stuff. But back to the controller. It's a 2.4 gigahertz controller. You know, you bind it every time, and it's leveling itself out and measuring and stuff. But when you fly it at work, where I work, I got 2 or 3 big communication towers within a few hundred meters distance. So what I've noticed is when I fly close to those communication towers outside, because when I fly inside there's no problem. I can fly inside for, you know, 30-40 meters and there's no problem. But outside, if I fly outside, I get some interference. And what kind of interference? When I fly the quadcopter and I go to a certain distance, I fly away, the quad just, you know, starts flickering, and at some point it just loses power and crash on the ground. So this happened with the Syma, the Vitality, the wltoys, every quadcopter I got, it's doing that. You know, those big communication towers, cell phone towers, or you know, whatnot, all those communication, those signal interference are really messing up with that 2.4 gigahertz. You know, with a bigger controller, like something like a Spectrum, I don't think there would be a problem. But with these tiny controllers, that type of low power 2.4 gigahertz system, if you have a communication tower, some big electrical you know, towers nearby, I would suggest to go fly somewhere else, because if you got some interference issue and the quadcopter is just giving out power for any reason, this is what I've noticed. You know, as soon as you're close to anything that gives out a strong radio signal, the quadcopter is gonna drop, you know, like that. So, and you won't be able to fly nice. I can fly for a couple of meters away if I stay close, but as soon as I get like 10, 20 meters away, 30 meters away, the power just drops, and you know, you get no more juice, no more power. So even at longer distances, you know, like a few hundred meters more, 500 meters, 700 meters, I went to fly a little farther away from the communication towers, and it still creates some interference. So unless you have a park where there's nothing much around to fly, that'd be perfect. Inside the home, there's no problem. You won't be flying far enough to get some interference, or even close to a router. That's not a problem. I got a router and I've been flying close to it. That's not a problem. But big communication towers, maybe it's just fluke, maybe it's the weather, maybe, I don't know. It was nice and hot outside. There wasn't any clouds, any humidity, so you know, that's what I've noticed with all the quadcopters. There's some interference on on close to communication tower. So, well, basically this is wrapping up my review, my quite long review on the Syma X1. So I hope you guys enjoy, and you probably will see some video in the near future on my other quadcopters. And for the people who like knives and guns, and don't worry, I'm gonna have some video coming up maybe in the next few weeks, months, on blade. Maybe I'm gonna go out and do some blade testing, and you know, play around with a couple of my rifles and make some videos of that. So alright, see you guys later. Hope you enjoy this.